Well, when I think of Kathy Cano-Murillo, aka the Crafty Chica, I think about glitter, I think about color, and I think about doodles. And Kathy, you have brought all those elements with you today on this gorgeous scrapbook page.
I sure did. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell me a little bit about this fantastic page.
Well, the way this came about was I wanted to make the perfect scrapbook page for my chihuahuas, but I wasn't quite ready, so I decided to think about it while I was doodling flowers. That's a great way to meditate, right?
That is a great way to meditate.
Good ideas.
It's true, because doodling becomes sort of mindless, and you're going to show us your personal take on doodling.
Yes. So what I like to do is just break out with the markers. I always love to have some kind of black outline, just like a coloring book, and then color it in.
Now, I noticed you're actually using the side of the markers as opposed to like the tip of it.
You know, I'm a crazy Sagittarian left-hander, and I think that's just the way I do it.
So cool. So this is a heart, but I know that you have all these fabulous flowers. Will you show us how to doodle a Crafty Chica flower?
Yes, I would love to. So same thing, you know, this time I can start just with the color and go
just
around.
A loose drawing, and you're going
Just
so
a loose
fast.
drawing.
You're not careful about it at all.
I get excited about what I'm going to make, and so I just go with it. And next thing you know, I end up with a whole sheet of these.
Speaking of which
it ends up looking like this. And I'm very much into multitasking, and I thought, well, heck, I might as well cut these out and use them as embellishments. And what I found is that I can use my electronic cutter to just cut all of these out at the same time, and then I can even embellish them further with some different types of pens and glitters and things like that.
Cool. So you're going to show us exactly how to cut all of those out and all that kind of stuff. And I did want to mention, because you're coloring that one in now, that if you leave the markers a little more time to dry between, you don't get that sort of color bleed, right?
Right. Yes. You can start with the color, let it dry, and then use the black outline. And I love using the black outline. To me, that just adds that fun doodle style.
Cool.
So now we're going to...
I'm going to pass you this very sticky mat.
Onto the mat.
There you go.
So what we're going to do is scan this in so that it reads the placement of all of these designs, and then we're going to cut it.
There you go. It makes it very, very easy. So you've put it onto the sticky mat. You're just going to load it into the machine. And then what is the next step?
Okay, now I'm going to scan this into the machine.
Great. And there are lots of options here. You're going to choose the scan to cut data, I know, and you're going to press the start button and get that going. But I know that I asked you why you didn't use the first option, in which it would directly cut it out, and you actually had a brilliant answer that I love.
Because I spent so much time doodling all those flowers, I want to save them. So I'm going to use the save data into the machine so that maybe I want to use glittered paper next time. Maybe I want to use it as a stencil.
This is brilliant, because when you brought me in this outline, I was like, wow, this is so easily and clearly a stencil. And I also like your idea, of course, about glitter, that you could take any of these doodled shapes, and now you've essentially made a permanent shape that you could always have to cut it out of anything that you want, which is it's that whole thing about you're working smart, right?
Yes,
less work
I love
for good results.
multitasking. I love that you can use so many pretty different textured papers and add your own more doodles just with different types of pens. Okay, so here we have it scanned in. And I'm going to hit this top one.
It looks like an outline.
Yes, it's only going to cut the black outside lines. And I'm going to save that, so I will have that permanently in my machine, so that next time I use this, it will...
And I know you can choose between saving it in the machine or saving it to an external USB drive or something like that. So you've chosen to save it into the machine.
Right.
Which is awesome. So you're going to go back to the home screen, right?
Yep.
And that always scares me when it says, is it okay to delete all patterns? But of course, yes, because we've saved it, we don't need to worry about it.
And so now I'm leaving this here.
Because we already put it on the cutting mat.
And I'm going to save data.
Right, pull it from the machine.
And there it is.
Oh, I love that. It's like magic, isn't it?
It is, and it saves so much time. I love that. And I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to hit cut. And oh, I have this set for heavy cardstock. I have it on number 4.
Great.
That's a good tip to remember.
That's perfect.
And now
and
it's
we're
going to
off
come
and
out.
cutting. And I
Yes.
love that. It makes it so easy. And you didn't have to move anything or think about it because we
Right.
know it's lined up because we scanned it and we're cutting it on the same mat, which I
Right.
love. That's a fantastic idea. So this is going to take a little while to cut, so we'll be right back when it's done cutting. So we're back, and the machine has done its magic, and now Kathy, unload that mat and give us the big reveal. So
Okay, let's
what have
start
we
with this
got?
flower here.
You know, I find sometimes that flexing the mat also really helps me get stuff up. Nice. Look
Isn't
how
that
beautifully
cute?
that's cut right on that line. That would take me forever with scissors, and I would do not half as good a job.
And it's just so detailed. And
love
so
it.
at this point, you can take your little scissors and cut snips in it.
Oh, I see, to create the dimension.
Right.
Because if I look back at your original page, like that huge embellishment that's right at the bottom, I can see how you use your scissors, you use your scissors to cut snips in there
Yes.
and really give it some nice dimension. That's
And
so
that's what this, and then I can
cool.
use like a pencil or whatever just to kind of curve it up and
Curl those
put a gem in the
petals.
center.
I love
and I
it.
love this glittered polka dot background
Well,
against
I also
the
wanted
bright
to
colors.
say, I'm so, at first I couldn't understand why you were saving it into the machine's memory, but then I saw this stencil, and then I saw this shape, and you told me, yeah, you keep an envelope of
Yes,
them, right?
I do. I'm like one of those people that saves everything. So this is just white cardstock that I can use watercolors, markers, anything I want to embellish. Here's one that I colored with blue, and again, it's just like a fun way to pass the time,
Yeah, and I
to
love
make your
these
own
really
embellishments.
unique shape now that you have. Now, originally, of course, this was a sketch of some kind, and now it's become a blank shape that you can color in any way you want.
And when you think about it, so, you know, if you go for a jar of flowers at the craft store, it can get kind of pricey. This is a great way to make your own jar of flowers
It
with one
is.
piece of scrapbook paper. You
It
could just,
is.
you know, draw on the whole thing, all these different fun shapes, scan it in, cut them out, and save them. And then you have them at your fingertips, and it's just super affordable. I like saving
And
money.
you promised me that we could do some doodling together.
Yes.
So we're going to take, right? So this is interesting because I believe this is the shape, right, that came out of here, maybe. Let's see if I can jigsaw that together. There you go. And now it's a beautiful fun. I can see this as like a collar for a Frida
Oh my gosh,
or
that's a
something
great
like that.
idea. Yes.
So there's one for you and one for me.
And what I love about the cardstock is that you can bend it, you know, after you paint it to make, you know, like a banner or just to give it some fun textured looks. Like you can see on here, I actually bent the cardstock and I glued just the edges that I bent so they look like they're popping out of the page.
Now, so did you use foam adhesive under there to pop that up, or does it just bent?
I bent it and just used like tape runner.
Really?
Yeah, I'll use any kind of glue I have on hand.
Wow.
Sometimes I'll use the foam dots if I really want to lift it. But what I love about watercolor paper or cardstock is it's so easy to bend, and then you could just use, you know, some kind of dry adhesive to put it in place.
Well, I love this page. I love this an idea that you can make your own embellishments and then replicate them again and again out of lots of different things. Another great idea. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.